have to say that when I listen to the speakers and the wonderful and cogent and thoughtful and reflective and humane points that they have been making, I weep inside when I think about what is going on over in Dáil Éireann, and that is despite the wonderful Claire Daly's and the other good TDs who are there. When I think of the 150,000 women at least who have had to make that difficult journey to Britain, in what kind of state of mind one just doesn't know. When I think of the women who have been so inhumanly treated in our hospitals when they needed an abortion, when I think of the women who have died, the women whose experiences, most intimate, most personal, have had to be trawled through the courts, when I think of the expert committees that have been set up, when the discussions that have been in the Dáil, the nerve of the Catholic Church to threaten us with anything at all. When I think of these things, I am very, very, very angry, because that is not the way a humane society should conduct its business and treat its citizens. And I am particularly annoyed this week. In fact, I'm a lot more than annoyed. I am very, very raging when I look at the way in which the hearings have been set up by the Health Committee, who decided in their wisdom to focus only, and I had it from the words of the committee themselves, to focus only on medical and legal expertise. Now I ask you, who are the experts when it comes to this issue? Women are the experts of our own bodies. And furthermore, I think therefore that is a disgrace. But it is also an extremely biased set of witnesses. Sinead here did the analysis the other day and discovered that 10 of the witnesses who have been called to give expert evidence, so to speak, at these hearings are either specifically anti-abortion campaigners or vocal for against abortion, or have questioned very seriously the wisdom of introducing X legislation. And only 5 of the witnesses who have been called are either those who argue for less restrictive legislation or who are pro-choice. And there are no witnesses at all who are experts in the field of human rights and women's human rights, and who are competent to address what this should be about, which is, will it clarify the situation relating to abortion in this country, which is what the European Court of Human Rights told the Irish government to do. So this is a highly defective set of hearings, and I'm extremely concerned and worried about that, because this point has not been widely made in the media. Now, no representative and campaigning groups have been called, so that, for example, no National Women's Council of Ireland is there. Action on X isn't there, Choice Ireland isn't there, Abortion Rights Campaign isn't there, nor is the IFPA, the Irish Family Planning Association, nor the Irish Council for Civil Liberties. None of the groups that you would expect to have expert views to give have been invited to address our assembled senators and TDs in their fastness of Dáil Éireann, where they are protected apparently from the realities of this world, where it is women who have to take the burden, the brunt, the pain of this incredible situation, where we have a constitutional amendment that says the life of a fetus is equal to that of a grown adult woman. That is insane. I will never forget that touching moment, very touching moment. I was certainly very touched by it, when Praveen Halapanavar said, we have to think always of the bigger life. And I hold on to that, and I think that that is what everyone here is fighting for. We are fighting for the right of women to have their lives protected. And Rona Mani, who spoke great sense, the Master of Holles Street, who spoke great sense at the hearings yesterday, said this is not about this thing and the other thing and the fighting and so on and so forth. It is about the safety of women's lives, and that is what we should all be focusing on. So, because so many of us have been excluded from these hearings, we believe that we should put forward our views as a broad platform, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing next week. And in fact, you will all be taking away with you today the template of a letter that you can write to your TD saying, this is what we want to see in the legislation. And I've written them down because I can forget things in the passion and the heat of the moment. We have 6 crucial points that we believe must, as a minimum, be in what is already incredibly minimal and restrictive legislation. It hurts me to have to fight for this law. It really does, because this law, it will never begin to meet women's needs. But at the moment, it is our step, it is our bridge, it is our transition, it is our necessary next move in that fight that we are all involved in for women's right to choose. So just bear with me before the rain comes while I quickly go through the crucial amendments without commentary. That's very hard for me. First of all, no to criminalisation. No criminalisation. Out. No, we want to keep, obviously, the suicide clause in. Why? Because where there can be a risk to a woman's life through suicide, the threat of suicide. So that needs to stay in. But no to the ludicrous review panel that is set up in the whole system. There's a wonderful banner over there. 6 doctors, 1 woman, a man's solution to a woman's problem, which I think actually sums it all up. So no to those cumbersome and ludicrous assessment panels. Believe women, trust women. There shouldn't be more than 2 doctors. 1 doctor, actually, you would think would be perfectly adequate under the circumstances, but definitely no more than 2. No distinction between women's mental and physical health. Padra made the point. And let me say that other doctors yesterday at the hearings made the same point. No to the requirement of unanimity, where 1 doctor, for example, a gynecologist, could actually gainsay the opinion of 2 psychiatrists, and that would mean no luck. The woman would have to progress on, so to speak, to be examined and interrogated and put through yet more hoops by another panel. So a maximum of 2 doctors. And no to all of the restrictions which are specifically designed to disempower already vulnerable women in that situation.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Our 4th point is that we're told that a conscientious objection clause is needed. I'm not absolutely clear why this is so, but we do absolutely insist on the fact that a woman must be treated in an emergency regardless of the doctor's personal views, and that must be written into the legislation. Women in dangerous, difficult and urgent situations, we can't be expected to be passed around from 1 doctor to another while they're checked for their personal views. These are truly matters of life and death. Doctors should be obliged to declare their anti-choice views when they're actually signing a contract in a hospital. If this is going to be written in, we want it written in too. And only non-objectors should sit on review panels. This is very important. And if this means a mandatory check of the personal views of all the doctors in Ireland, so be it. They've got themselves into it. We say no, absolutely no, to a review system that could take anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks. I ask you, We are talking about women who are pregnant. What planet are these people on? The maximum is 2 to 3 days, and that is best practice internationally actually is 3 days. And finally, something that we have said, and many of us today have said too, we really do believe that terminations should be legal in cases where there is a fatal fetal abnormality. It is absolutely incomprehensible. It's incomprehensible that this barbaric situation should exist, where a woman is told that she must carry to full term a fetus that has either already died but not aborted spontaneously, or which she knows cannot survive. I can't get my head around that at all. I don't know what kind of barbarism inhabits people's minds that they feel that this is all right. Of course it's not. But we also believe that for women who have been subjected to rape or to incest, that it is also inhumane to expect those women to carry to full term the fruit, so to speak, of those horrible crimes. And I can see no right reason why these cannot be legislated for, even within the very narrow terms of our horrendous constitutional amendment. And that ultimately is what I believe we are fighting for, to remove that amendment from our constitution completely, so that we can have a fair, a humane, a situation in relation to women and the decisions that we need to make about our lives, about our safety, about our health, about our well-being, and just about ourselves as people in the world, where we can actually have that finally in this country. Somebody said to me the other day, and he knows who he is, that it will be a decade or more. No, it won't! No, it won't! We're going to do this as soon as this legislation is through, and it must go through as strongly as we can make it. As soon as it is through, do not think you can go on your summer holidays, because we will be immediately starting to campaign. We will be immediately starting to campaign for a repeal, the 8th Amendment to the Constitution. Please take with you a draft letter today that you can send to your TD. Better still, why don't you call in to your TD in his or her clinic, more likely his clinic? Why don't you call into him, have a little chat with him, tell him your views, and tell him that you're not going to vote for him next time round unless he shares your views in relation to this particular issue. And finally, before I hand back to Sinead, I just say that we're going to have a planning meeting for Action on X next Saturday, this day week, 1 o'clock in the Teachers Club, a planning organising meeting. Everybody who wants to come out and help us organise for the next few weeks, which are going to be very crucial in getting stronger legislation, a bit less restrictive, over the line. We really need you. We need all of you. And you all have something to contribute and to do. So we expect large numbers next Saturday, 1 o'clock in the Teachers Club. Thank you all so much.